Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charlotte Morton. I'm the Chief Executive of the World Biogas Association, and I'm delighted to be here today with members from Abiogas, CI Biogas, and the WBA team to provide you with an overview of the Brazil biogas market and the report that we are launching today, giving you a comprehensive overview of the current state of the market, growth trends, and future opportunities for biogas and biomethane in Brazil, positioning the country as one of the world's largest emerging markets in renewable energy from organic wastes. The aim of the report is to demonstrate the market readiness. Thanks to rapid growth in biogas and biomethane capacity and its immense potential based on the available feedstocks, agricultural, urban, sewage, etc., we show how the World Biogas Association can support Brazil through knowledge sharing frameworks such as the Global Biogas Regulatory Framework, the Anaerobic Digestion Certification Scheme, and through global partnerships. And in the first place, I'm delighted now to introduce Renata Isfer, who's the Chief Executive of Abiogas, which is the National Biogas Association of Brazil. Over to you, Renata.
Hello, it's a great pleasure to be here with you, with WBA, CI Biogas too. We are looking forward to work together. Biogas has been done a job for a while now to try to make biogas happen, but to learn about and from other experiences around the world, it will be very rich, and we believe it will help us a lot in our process. Charlotte, I'm just one thing that I'm supposed to start the presentation now? Okay, I wasn't sure if I was just saying hello or if I should start. So, okay, so as many of you might know, biogas in Brazil has a huge potential, not only because of the landfill and sanitation projects, but especially because agriculture is the main motor of our economy, and the residues from it, they are the ones that bring this great opportunity to the country. Can you push forward? Go to the next one, please. So can you go again, please? We have today 160 associates in Brazil. And no, one more. I was just explaining about the association. So how it is the map today of biogas and biomethane? Looking to biogas, we are actually using the information from CI Biogas that it's represented here by Felipe, by the latest panorama that they did. We had 1,365 biogas plants mainly use it for electricity, but the trend now is to produce biomethane. The power market in Brazil, it's well, it has been for a while, but it just gets worse. It's somewhat full of subsidies that makes the tariffs too high. And they were not made for us, so it doesn't pay off for now too much to work with electricity. So everyone is going to biomethane. Right now, our agency, regulatory agency, has approved 12 projects to be able to commercialize biomethane, and we have 23 plants in auto production. So it's a capacity of 874,000 cubic meters a day. That's the capacity that is authorized. Even though it's not all of it is produced, this is the capacity that we have now. And can you continue, please? But we've seen a continual growth. Even in electricity, even though it's not a trend anymore, you can see it's continual and pretty much steady growth that we have, even though it doesn't represent a lot in our matrix. But when you look at biomethane, considering that we have these 35 plants today, we expect to have at least 200 by 2032. This and get to 8 million cubic meters a day. So it's a growth by 10 times. This study was made with our associates. We just called all of the producers and all of the companies that plan to produce for the next years to ask them what were they planning to produce. And the interesting thing is that right after that, we had approved the fuel of the future, which I'll explain a little more later. And Petrobras, which is the biggest oil and gas company, it's a major, our NOC here in Brazil. And they have a mandate now because of the fuel of the future. And in this mandate, they just opened up a public calling for projects. So the sector is really in a buzz. Everyone presented, a lot of people presented projects, and we are really looking forward to what they received to know that, even though we are not sure and probably they are not turning it all public, but it will have a good measure of what the market can be for the next years. Can you follow, please? So we have calculated a short-term potential, and it's around 35 million cubic meters a day. There is a lot of challenges to get to that, especially considering infrastructure in Brazil that was made for natural gas. And even for natural gas, it's very small compared to the pipeline net in other countries or in Europe or in the US or even Argentina here, our neighbor. So that's a challenge that we have to face and to win and to solve it. And that will be one of the main things that we are doing for the next years. Can you follow? But the full potential that we have here is like we can have 120 million cubic meters a day. It's mainly for the sugarcane energy, but we also have from animal protein, other agricultural production, and sanitation, even though it was the first one and the biggest production today is from sanitation. The future will see that's mainly the residue that will be most used for the next few years will be from sugarcane. Can you follow? And that here's a number that we have done, that UNIDO and Brazil's government, along with say Biogas, have calculated, and the Biogas, we can create almost 800,000 jobs by stimulating all of the production, and we can reduce 642 million CO2 tons equivalent per year, and invest in reals 348 billion, which is about 50 billion in dollars. I'm trying to just calculating here. Can you follow? So what do we have considering the regulatory framework and all of the incentives that we have? So there is our constitution, and the main part for our constitution that I believe that it's relevant here is that the constitution guarantee that we can have a tax and tariffs that has to be lower than the ones settled for fossil fuels. That was regulated in the last year for the tax reform, and by 2029 it will have to be implemented, and the discount will be 60% compared to the fossil that it changed. We have I think you can follow, because here is just the regulation, and because of the time, I'm going to focus on what incentives we have. Can you follow? Can you? Okay, so we have some tax incentives, and right now, before we have the tax reform, our tax reform, it got a lot of different taxes and create an IVA, the aggregated value tax, and that's common in many countries. We didn't have. We had like 6 or 7 different kinds of contributions and taxes and tariffs and all of that. So it'll get everything and turn it into one, actually into taxes. But before it gets implemented, we do have tax reduction for infrastructure. We also have the emission of the ventures that doesn't get as taxed with a tax incentive as well. And we do have renewable already that created a certification and a mandate that all of the fossil fuels distributors, they have to buy the certificate that is that's received by the biofuels producers. So it has already enabled some projects to become viable, economically viable, and it's a market that exists now for 6 years that's been implemented, and it's a big decarbonization incentive that already exists for a while. Can you follow, please? And in 2024, so we had a lot of things going on in Brazil regarding the green energy. So we had first, there was a bill approved with the carbon market, the regulated carbon market. There was also a legal framework for hydrogen. There was also another program with a financial scheme, like a green financial with lower interest rates called PATEN. There was a bill regarding green mobility and innovation program that's called MOVER. There was an exemption of another tax in Brazil for that the car owners pay, and they have an exemption for vehicles that use biomethane in the state of São Paulo. Also, environmental licensing is a problem. Usually in Brazil, it takes a while, and we had a simplification so it can be done faster, but also in the state of São Paulo. But the exemption of IPVA, the tax that I mentioned, it's not only in São Paulo, it happened also in Mato Grosso, in another state, some other states, but São Paulo was the example. We also had just a change in how the trucks can be done. So because it couldn't carry as much weight before because of the size of the weight limit, so it was changed. And also, finally, the most important one, the fuel of the future, which was a bill passed to bring incentives to all of the new fuels that have been created to decarbonize. Can you follow, please? So basically, in the fuel of the future, we have two main new policies. One of them creates a mandate, as I said before. This mandate, it says that all gas producers or importers in Brazil, they have to decarbonize by buying biomethane. So any oil and gas company that produces gas, they have to buy the amount of biomethane equivalent of decarbonizing 1 to 10% of its natural gas. And it's being implemented. Yesterday, we had an event here by Biogas, along with one of our congressmen, parliamentary front. I don't know how to call that in English. And the Ministry of Mines and Energy And our agency, they said with all of the effort they could, that they are finishing, and they will be able to finish our regulation by the end of the year. It will be a challenge, everyone knows that, but they are committed to have it done. So by the 1st of January of 2026, it will be implemented and demanded that the gas companies buy this biomethane. And that's why, as I said, Petrobras made this public calling of projects, because they are already looking to buy all of the biomethane necessary to fulfill this quota, this target that they have. The second part of the fuel of the future is that it finally creates a certificate of origin in Brazil that will be regulated by ANP, by our agency. And these guarantee of certificates of origin, while it already exists in many countries, it will attest that methane is actually biomethane. So you can put it in a pipeline, you can sell it in many different ways and do book and claim. So it'll be very important, because if you consider Brazil, it's a very large country, and not all of the potential they are close to the pipeline or to the infrastructure. So they could sell the gas just like a regular methane for someone who is nearby and do not have the capability, the economic feasibility to buy biomethane, and can sell the certificate elsewhere where they do have a market. Can you follow? Here are some tax incentives that we have in Brazil. That's the one before our EVA gets implemented, that we are looking forward to take to more states, because this one, it's an estate tax. Can you follow? I think that's it. That's mainly it. And this year we are looking forward to look especially into decarbonizing the trucks and buses and a heavy fleet. But also there's a lot going on, and especially we do need to regulate the fuel of the future and our tax reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renata. That's a fantastic summary and overview of quite a lot of complex legislation and regulations, and we still need more. But it's good to see that commitment from the Ministry of Mines to put the regulations for the fuels of the future in by the end of this year.
Thank you. Yeah.
You'll see actually, Renata, that there are a couple of questions in the Q&A, and I should say to everybody that if you've got questions, please put them into the Q&A, and we'll do our best to answer them during the webinar or at the Q&A session at the end. Yeah, that's where to put questions. But for now, I'm delighted now to hand over to Felipe Marquez, who is actually one of the WBA's members of the WBA's Council. But his day job is Market Strategy Director for CI Biogas, which is the Institute for Science, Technology and Innovation in Brazil. So can I hand over to you, Felipe, to give us a market overview of the key drivers and challenges?
Okay, thank you, Charlotte. I would like at first to thank you for the opportunity to talk with all WBA associates. And I would like also to remark that last week, Renata was recognized by Forbes as a leader in renewable energies here in Brazil. That's a good sign that the biogas industry is very good representation in the country, and biogas is in a positive agenda in the country. So Renata, congratulations, and thank you for what everything you're doing for the biogas industry in Brazil.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm bringing some information about the market overview. I'm focused on sharing some perceptions about what's going on in the country. So we have here a lot of different substrates being used to produce biogas. Mainly, I'll give you more information about the applications, but we are really focused on gaining competitiveness in different products. So it's an evolution in the market, because 3 or 4 years ago we are dealing, our problem is to being recognized as an energy, but now we are talking about more about what biogas and biomethane can do for logistics, for meat, for the other products. And the industry are understanding that as you use biomethane, as you use biogas, you gain competitiveness and in a really better position in the market for your brand. We have now 1,365 biogas plants in Brazil. In next month, we will deliver the updated information for December 2024. The major biogas producer in Brazil today, it's the landfills and wastewater treatment plants, and the majority of the biogas is being used to generate electricity. But we will see a change on that in the next overview, and because the business on biomethane is being better than the business in electricity. But in second place, you will see the industry producing a lot. Usually, the industry produce a lot for themselves, so a lot of self-consumption of the energy. So they have a high potential on biogas production, but they have also a high demand of energy on thermal applications, on logistics, and also in electricity. And as you can see in the map, we don't have too much biogas plants on the north and the northeast of Brazil, and also in the mid-center of Brazil, there is not enough biogas plants as it should be. This is not a problem. This is a lot of room to grow. You saw in the Renata presentation that we today produce minimum biogas that we could produce. There is a lot to do on biogas industry here in Brazil. I like the numbers, but they could be better. It's really possible to see in the next 5 years that we can grow to 10,000 biogas plants in Brazil. It shouldn't be a problem. And what we are seeing that is key drivers to make it happen, a lot of focus on biomethane to mobility. So a lot of biomethane is being addressed to logistics that make a lot of difference when we replace diesel. So we have some important projects going on in São Paulo that's on waste collection. And we have a lot of projects in outsourced logistics. I like to remark this project here. It's really nice because L'Oréal has a project that they want to put more biomethane in the trucks and more women in the wheels. So more women driving and more biomethane on the truck. So really positive agenda being delivered by L'Oréal. And also a lot of distribution of biomethane to industry and gas stations. One of the things that the biomethane showed to Brazil, and it's really been a game changer, it's that the gas applications is now nearest from the countryside. It's not common to see gas application discussion far from the gas pipelines. And now with biomethane, there is a lot of room for logistics on agro industry being done all with biomethane that wouldn't never fit to bring natural gas to the countryside. So this cooperation by natural gas and biomethane is being a good positioning for the both energetics. there is a lot of product diversification also. The projects are not only energy driven, so they are really looking for the digestate to biofertilizer. So it's a challenge, and I see that it's a challenge all over the world. It's not a challenge here, only here. As we are really connected with waste on agriculture, there is we are really near the demand on fertilizer. So I think we will see a lot of changes on that in the next years. And about the certificates, they're really changing the market. And one possibility that I put an example here, that now the biomethane producer, they had only one client before, now he can have 3 clients. So the client that wants the methane and the certificate, the energy and the certificate, or the energy and the environmental service. But there is also the client that wants only the energy, and he can sell the energy for one and the environmental service or the certificate for other one. And this can impact the costs on 13%. So this is really good for negotiation of the biomethane, and it's really getting more competitive, the biomethane in the countryside, because now they can send a certificate for one big player, as Petrobras, for an example, and they sell the energy for a logistic operator in the countryside. And also one thing that is really happening, that's really different, we have a lot of biogas and biomethane off-takers. So they are using upgrading, they invest on the upgrading and distribution by the same company. So the company buys the biogas and put all the facility to upgrade it and distribute it. And also they buy the second one. It's wrong here, I'm sorry. It's only consumption, distribution by the same company. So they upgrade it and they use on logistics. We saw an example here. We have an example here for a logistics company that they are buying biogas on biogas plants, putting their own system of upgrading and filling their trucks. So it's really a different market. They're not buying biomethane, they are buying the biogas and make it on self-consumption business model. And about challenges, we are facing some challenges here, especially on the new players. The new players, they're really being good for us because they're really delivering a lot of money on the table for biogas projects. But there is one thing that it's a problem. It's that usually, as they come from other sectors of the renewables, it's hard for them to understand that the biogas plants, they have to be run it. We have to operate it. It's a bioprocess, and they have a hard time on that. But the majority of them are connecting or with biogas or with CI biogas or WBA, and this is the best tip for them to don't miss opportunities. Just one more minute. We have also some problems on long-term contracts on waste. The waste market's not used to long-term contracts, so they are for 1 or 2 years on contracts on waste. But we need it's important that we have a waste guarantee for 10, 15, 20 years for the investment on a biogas plant. And the problem that I also know that it's not a only Brazil problem. It's on capacity building. We have a lot of short-term short-term training offer in Brazil, but it's important that we have biogas plant operators training or technicians to be delivered to the market. And the last slide, we have a really strength in Brazil. We have two organizations that's really committed with and focused on the biogas and biomethane industry in Brazil. We don't see that in a lot of countries. We have CI Biogas, a Science, Technology, Innovation Center focused on technology and market strategy. And we have Biogas, that's the national association focused on policy intersectoral articulation and cooperation. With cooperation, this is really important for the market. And also, I have to say that we cooperate a lot with World Biogas Association, so we can learn fast with international examples on other countries all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. That was really helpful. I love in particular your image of one of your new biogas operators realizing that the biogas plant is alive and full of bugs, which I think somebody else once said that the key to making a happy biogas plant is to love your bugs, and I think that's really true as well. Now, just also Renata and Felipe, you can see there's quite a few questions in the Q&A, some of which I think you might be able to respond to in writing. Others we can have at the end of the session. But now we're going to move to Karina Navarro, who is our policy analyst and is going to give us an overview of the WBA's report on the Brazil market. So over to you, Karina.
Thank you, Charlotte. Let me present my screen. Well, I hope you can see. And hello, everyone. Good afternoon from a rather rainy Rotterdam here in the Netherlands. Cloudy as well. While the skies may be gray here, we're here to shed some light on a true hidden gem, which is the Brazilian biogas market. And I would like to extend my congratulations and gratitude to our partners, Renata and Felipe, my fellow compatriots in Brazil, for their excellent presentations and for making my life easier. With all these points covered by them are also in a report that you'll be able to download after this webinar. And I'm going to present today the outcomes of this report. My name is Karina. I'm the policy analyst at the World Biogas Association, and I have an important task of presenting policy recommendations and other findings contained in our report following these two outstanding presentations by individuals I greatly admire. Let me start with some global context. I don't want to repeat what was said, but just for a little overview, we have been witnessing a massive transition towards cleaner forms of energy, and it's now consensus that the world needs to reduce emissions, especially methane emissions. And the biogas industry plays a pivotal role in this, and the next 5 years are crucial to scaling up the industry globally. So the market is now heat up. The global biogas market has grown exponentially due to an increased demand for clean energy, waste management, and the need to reduce methane emissions. And over the past 5 years, we've seen a growth in many countries, especially in Brazil, as you're gonna see in the charts coming next. And the IEA projects and anticipated accelerated growth of 30% in the period of 2024 and 2030, which is the years that we are living now. And more than we have mapped more than 148,000 medium and large-scale biogas plants globally, with gas energy utilization operating around the world. There are over 50 million micro-scale household digesters in rural and urban communities, including Brazil. And this image shows, like Felipe showed on his presentation, that the northeast side of Brazil, while it has not many large-scale biogas plants, it does have some micro-scale household digesters that operate, that are being used by rural communities in that region. And while Europe remains the most dominant region, we do have some other regions experiencing rapid growth, such as India and the US, with investments in the billions of US dollars scale, and Brazil, which reported a compound annual growth rate of 21% in 2023. Now let's see what opportunities Brazil has. As Felipe already mentioned, Brazil has over 1,300 operational biogas plants. Almost 1,200 produce electricity, while 47 upgrade biogas to biomethane. And also, as Renata mentioned, this overview is changing over the years. And what's interesting here is, while 47 biogas plants upgrade biogas to biomethane, this including R&D projects and other operating in island mode and large-scale facilities, 40% of the biogas production is upgraded to biomethane. This data is from 2023, but we have seen this shift from electricity to biomethane over the last 5 years, and which means that in Brazil, large-scale plants with all their complexities usually follow international standards and national regulations, and this is a reality. And also mentioned by both of them, but just to emphasize that there is significant room for expansion because the potential is huge. A little bit of the total energy supply in Brazil, we see that biogas is now covered by the total energy supply. However, it's 2%, but as also we have seen in the charts presented before, it has a massive potential to grow. Well, main drivers, as mentioned, are the multiple feedstock sources with a great potential that represent the equivalent of 36% of the REPowerEU target only in one country until 2030. The emissions reduction target set by the NDCs in Brazil, with the aim to reduce GHG emissions by 59 to 67% by 2035, is also a driver of the market, and actions to reduce GHG emissions in many sectors, also supportive government policies, all of them mentioned by Renata before, and the waste management and financial incentives, including all those little tax reduction incentives that Brazil has to offer, are also drivers for the sector. But there are still some challenges as Felipe mentioned, technical barriers and this lack of understanding that the anaerobic digestion is a very complex process and needs to be operated with most of its ability, and some high initial costs also sometimes are a problem. And the regulations and the market, there are some market obstacles, but Brazil has been facing these challenges with lots of hope, and also they have the infrastructure ready, although it needs a bit of upgrade, as Renata mentioned, but encouraging the adoption of low carbon fuels and gas vehicles can replace diesel and create sustainable corridors to attract demand as one of the potential solutions, as well as targeting hard to decarbonize sectors such as the transport and maritime sectors. Organizing the policies, also getting clear performance metrics are one of the pillars, one of the projects that WBA has created in its Making Biogas Happen program, and it can be also a solution to the Brazilian biogas market. Now I want to pass to Pradeep, that is going to present you the flagship program Making Biogas Happen, and that's with you, Pradeep.
Thank you, Karina. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you for joining us on this very important webinar on release of a Brazil biogas market report. My colleague Karina has already given a very good overview of Brazilian biogas market, and I'm very happy to now share with you our flagship program of World Biogas Association, which is Making Biogas Happen. This program, which was launched with support from Global Methane Hub, as well as Total Energies, GHD Canada, and DLA Piper legal company. Here we are talking about two major initiatives on phase one, which was started in January 2024, and we completed it January 25. Here the two initiatives are global framework, biogas regulatory framework, and second is international anaerobic digestion certification scheme. When we talk about global biogas regulatory framework, this is the world's first framework, which really comprises of national, state, local governments, best practice model on policies and regulatory frameworks, technologies, and standards. Here we are really looking forward how this framework can really come up with the right kind of policy and regulatory ecosystem in each country. And depending on, we are talking about right from policies to digestate to, of course, to quality of biogas. And this is a must if we want biogas markets to flourish and scale up around the world, including India and Brazil. The second initiative is anaerobic digestion certification scheme international. It has 11 modules, which are really focusing and promoting standardized practices, safety and health, environmental measures for high-performing biogas plants through a certification scheme and biogas tailored life cycle assessment methodology linking to carbon market. And we are very happy that all these 9 pillars and 11 modules documents have become live. And here in this slide, we are also giving those websites for both Global Biogas Regulatory Framework and AD Certification Scheme International. Next, please. Now you can see in this slide is very clearly that under Global Biogas Regulatory Framework, under Making Biogas Happen program, this is very important. You look at almost 9 pillars covering all important topics or areas where biogas industries are facing challenges or there are huge opportunities. Let me just dwell on 2 or 3 of them. Feedstock policy. I could hear from both Renata and, of course, Felipe about feedstock, especially Felipe meant feedstock could be a risk factor also. But here we are talking about multi-feedstocks approaches. We are talking the best policies all over the world, which are really focusing on mitigating the risk, not only the feedstock aggregation, but also on contractual commitment for biogas plants. Biogas utilization becomes so relevant, whether it is on site or in the national grid. And of course, here we are talking extreme, very good examples of Denmark, where 40% of the national grid has biomethane coming from biogas plants. And this is a very good news for us. There, the India and Brazil have long way to go. Digestate policy, it is very clearly that when we talk about biogas plants or AD plants industry, we should not only focus on biogas. We should also focus on a very important byproduct, which digestate or biofertilizer. It has huge significance if we can monetize it, if we can have standards for it, and it can be linked to agriculture policies and food security of every country. And that's what we are focusing on India and Brazil. Permitting regulations becomes very relevant in different parts of the world. Here we have experienced that in parts of Europe and many countries, it is taking 2 to 5 years to get permitting regulations right from the national to the local level. How to make it not only years, coming back to months, within 2 to 4 months, we feel permitting regulation should work. And of course, health, safety, environmental protection becomes very relevant when we talk about long-term sustainability of biogas industry. Anaerobic digestion certification scheme international becomes so relevant because this is here we are trying to work on high performing biogas plants, right from the site information to health, safety risk training becomes very important, process monitoring, procurement services, managing environmental risk, digestate management, and most importantly, here we are talking about life cycle assessment methodology, which becomes so relevant when we want to look at yet unharnessed huge carbon market where biogas plants can play an important role within the NDCs, national registries, and linking to, of course, mitigation of biomethane or methane gas. Next, please. I'm very happy to share with you that after successful completion of Making Biogas Happen flagship program, we have started on phase 2. And phase 2 is focusing on 3 areas very clearly. One is outreach and dissemination. At this stage, we are reaching out to all governments, all countries, all stakeholders, industry leaders. We are talking about industry associations. We are talking about partners. We are talking about experts around the globe where we want to disseminate our findings on both on global biogas regulatory framework, 9 pillars, and AD certification scheme, 11 modules. And we feel this is a very crucial step that we should share our experience, our knowledge, and of course, expertise gained over last 1 year under Making Biogas Happen. But the second point, which is adaptation of key elements of both biogas regulatory framework and ADCS international at the national, state, and city level become very important because we must walk the talk. If we have come up all this framework, global biogas regulatory framework with clear policies and other very clearly policy instruments, what about making it happen on the ground? And that's where we are working on developing biogas action plans at national level, state level, and city level. And both in Brazil and India, we are very much advanced stage of discussions, especially at the state level and city levels, by customizing key elements of biogas regulatory framework and ADCS International to the local biogas industry ecosystem. And of course, third area is capacity building, and that we feel very, very important. We want to move forward. And here you have already mentioned, I'll just say that we're also looking very closely to work with some global financing mechanism, just like Global Environment Facility, United Nations, World Bank, and other bilateral agencies. And we're also having a dialogue for public-private bodies for additional funding. We are really looking forward to partners with join for scaling up biogas industry, both in India and Brazil to start with, and then rest of the world. Next, please. Now coming to almost my final slide here, we are if we really look at Brazil and how we unlock biogas potential, lot has been already covered. I will just simply say cover a few points here. If we want to have a rapid adapted growth, we must have both regulatory framework and ADCS certification to be adopted at the local level. We must try to see how we can align climate targets with the financial pathways for sustainability of or commercial viability of biogas plants. How do we really have public policies? We are very happy to see in Brazil the number of policies are already in place, but with our biogas regulatory framework, we can really come up with those gap areas where new policies and new incentives should be in place for really biogas industry to move forward very fast. Certification with guarantees and regulations get implemented. That's very important. How do we come up with more innovation technologies, correct design and implementation? Social approval and acceptance, especially on the utilization side, becomes very, very relevant. Fast, efficient process dedicated to renewable gases. Of course, we are talking here about biogas and biomethane. This will become very, very important. Quality standards, if we really want to expand 30 times, 100 times in the next 5 years, we must put in place quality standards and certification for entire supply chain for biogas industry. I'm very happy to mention and share with you that we have come up with a standard life cycle analysis methodology dedicated to biogas and of course entire supply chain linking to carbon markets. And we feel if we put all these things together, it will lead to economic and commercial stability and viability for development of biogas projects in Brazil. And what we learned from Brazil, we would like to see how it goes to sub-regional level and regional level and how we can link up our global efforts. So we feel biogas revolution is happening, Mission Biogas, Mission Possible in Brazil. Thank you so much. Over to you, Charlotte.
Thank you, Pradeep. Thank you, Karina. Sorry, I was getting lost in the Q&A at that point. We've now had a lot of information about the Brazil market and the Making Biogas Happen program, and we've got 7 minutes left of the webinar, and we have 12 questions that have yet to be answered, of which I am in the process of answering one. But let's try to get as many of them answered as we can in the remaining time. So the first question is from Niraj Vasani, who agrees on the point about agricultural residues playing a big driver in the growth of biogas. However, as ethanol to gasoline blending is significant, do you see significant competition for these feedstocks from the biofuel sector, such as sugarcane bagasse and vinasse? Renata, would you like to take that?
Yes, thank you, Charlotte. We do not see this competition. There is a lot of production, and usually we only use the residues here in Brazil. What we do is, the thing is, the ethanol market in Brazil, they use technology to enhance and bring more ethanol from the same quantity of sugarcane. And we are expanding also in corn ethanol. So the residues, I don't believe they will be used for anything else other than biomethane. And the biomethane industry is not looking to use nothing else other than waste and residue. So I don't see this competition.
Thanks, Renata. Super. And next question is also for you. Could you elaborate more around the CGOB that's going to be created to certify biomethane's origin? Is this certification system already in place? Will it have any connection with existing certifications for feedstocks?
The idea is it's not implemented yet. It's being constructed now by ANP and the government. The idea is to use as many of the framework as possible from renewable. They already have how it works and already have contracts with, for example, our stock market that sells it. So we use as much as possible from what is already working in Brazil, but it should be implemented by the beginning of 2026.
Super, thank you. And another one for you before we go to Felipe. This is from Ayushman Sabu. How is gas priced when it's distributed to gas stations? Is there a fixed price or policy action which Brazil follows?
So the fuel prices, they are a free market here. They do not have market basis. What happens is that even though we have that, we do have a company that has the majority of the market. So our antitrust agency keeps looking to it, and they cannot make prices lower than importing prices. So there will be as a form of permitting other players to come in, because other players wouldn't come if the price is too low, just to to do a dumping or something like that. So there is no such thing as a pricing. It's just like whatever the vendor puts in.
Thanks, Renata. Felipe, one for you from Marcus Paulo Barbosa, possibly Martins. Considering the scarcity of plants in the northeast and the concentration of plants in south central region of the country, what would be the main challenges for gas distribution? Have Abiogas, CO Biogas, and other institutions and transport companies been discussing this infrastructure issue with the government?
Okay, thank you. Although we don't have too much biogas being produced in the northeast and the north region, in the northeast, in Ceará state, we have the best participation share of biomethane on the gas distribution is 13% in the average, but during COVID it was 30% biomethane distributed on the gas grid. So we have good examples in the northeast. The biggest challenge is on information about how to produce more biogas in the region, and also to diversify all the applications that can be used. We are working with in 2 states of the northeast now, in Bahia and Sergipe, with potential market studies, and also working R&D projects that deliver pilot plants or demonstration units. We really see the examples in the south region and the southeast region that this helps a lot the decision to make decisions on investments on this kind of projects if they see it working. So we have a different substrates there. It's not the same ones that we have here. There is some technology fitting that has to be done, but it's possible. It's a number that we will see changing in the near future. For the next 2 or 3 years, a lot of biogas will be produced in the whole country.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm conscious that we've got less than a minute to go towards the end. We do have a lot of questions about what will be made available afterwards. Karina, you or Javier putting up a slide to show what people will be getting? Have I seen that? Or it's been posted here. You can access WBA's market report through that link. I'm sorry we haven't managed to answer everybody's questions today. We've answered quite a few, but please join me in thanking so much the participants for today and the work that they've put in both to the webinar today and their presentations, but particularly to Renata and Felipe for the work that they're doing every day on the ground in Brazil to grow what's going to be a very exciting market. Thank you to everybody. And of course, to all of you joining us.
Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.
Please do visit the website both on Global Biogas Regulatory Framework and EDCS International too. Thank you.
Thank you. I was trying to answer some more questions. I'll try to keep going. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.